may we start? Come to order. Sally, you want to call the roll?
Certainly. Chairman Colmeyer,
Here?
Member Brush, absent. Member Douglas, absent. Member Herman,
Here.
Member McGuire, Member Reimer,
Here.
Member Walker,
Here.
Student Member England.
Here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. First, the approval of the minutes. Any comments or questions on the minutes from our August 18th meeting? If not, may I have a motion to approve them? Motion. Second, please. All those in favor? Aye. All right, carried. An opportunity for the public to address the Park and Rec Board. Anybody? Seeing none, I think the next item on the agenda is a Croctoberfest presentation by Zach Bullock. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Zach Bullock. I am a supervisor and animal keeper at the Wildlife Discovery Center. And as said, I am here to discuss Croctoberfest and everything that Croctoberfest entails. A little bit of information about myself. I'm a recent graduate of Illinois College. I have my bachelor's degree in biology. And I've personally been keeping reptiles for my entire life. And I've been working for the Wildlife Discovery Center for 3 years, and I do say it's probably the best job I ever had. To start. Okay, so this is an example of one of our flyers for Croctoberfest. As you can see, Croctoberfest is going to occur on October 25th, which is a Sunday, and it occurs from 10 to 4 p.m. The fee to get in is $5, and we would also like to give a good thank you to Canals Auto Park for supporting this event. They are one of our sole, they are our sole sponsor in this event. Now, what is Croctoberfest? First and foremost, it is a fun family event where we have lots of different crocodiles, like crocodile, alligators, and lots of different activities for children and adults alike. But the main focus of this event is to raise awareness about conservation efforts around the globe to save crocodilians like my little friend here. This is Dizzy. Dizzy is an American alligator. He is a rescue alligator at that. He was actually caught in Lake Superior, and Lake Superior Zoo were the ones who rescued him and sent him down to us because they did not have the facilities or the training to properly care for him. Luckily, we do have those facilities and the proper enclosures and knowledge of care and husbandry to care for these animals. Now, we have lots of different activities for children and adults alike, and that includes our chef at Elowa Farm, Chef Steve, who is going to be providing food for sale, and part of those profits will be coming back to WDC for not only our own projects, but for conservation projects that we are actually going to be giving half of this money to. We are also going to be having a silent auction at this event, which is featuring a signed Jimmy Butler jersey. And as most of you know, he is one of the foremost members of the Chicago Bulls right now. But some of the big players that we have coming to this event are the Chicago Herpetological Society that features Dan and Bob Bavirsha, who are going to be bringing out a lot of alligators to show at this event. We also have the Madison Area Herpetological Society, who will be bringing out lots of different reptiles, so snakes, lizards, even the possibility of caimans and smaller crocodilians. And then the big guy, Bubba the alligator, whose handler is Jim Nessie. Bubba the alligator is a 9.5-foot alligator who has been trained
to allow kids to pet him, and even some, as you can see, ride him. Now, the promotion in the last year's success of Croctoberfest. Last year we had around 800 visitors come to this event. Our net profit was about $3,800, which is about a 76% profit margin. And this year's promotional events that we are doing, we are going to be going on WGN Morning Show on the 23rd of October, and we're going to be bringing along some of our bigger crocodilians to that event, such as Casanova, our American alligator, Frodo, our Cuvier's dwarf caiman, and even one of our Siamese crocodiles, which is the big ones that we are actually bringing about for our conservation message. Because Siamese crocodiles, there are only 200 of those animals left on the planet, and we have a male and a female. And then we are also giving out flyers. We are on the city webpage. We have this flyer available. We are doing radio spots with a lot of different of the radio broadcasts, such as 102.3 and multiple others. Okay, now we have a couple cool, interesting facts about crocodilians. Crocodilians have one of the most advanced hearts of any animal on Earth. It's four-chambered, unlike other reptiles, and it's four-chambered just like our hearts are. They can hit their prey with a momentum up to 1,200 pounds. So that's essentially a rocket coming at you. They have advanced navigational systems, so you can transplant a crocodile hundreds of miles away from its home range, and it can find its way back home. And then the coolest thing about crocodilians is the fact that their blood is resistant to bacteria and viruses, and it has been shown to kill cancer cells. So for humans, that's very good, because we can actually try to find these proteins and use their blood to help kill our own cancer cells at one point. Now, why does the Wildlife Discovery Center keep crocodilians in the first place? We have 5 different species, from American alligators to our Siamese crocodiles. We are part of the school district curricula. We do have a program going on right now called Crocs in the Classroom, and we actually put baby Nile crocodiles into classrooms in schools. As you can see by the picture, these kids, they're learning to appreciate wildlife while also being able to get hands-on with it. So part of this curricula we use to promote and teach biodiversity within habitats. Crocodilians, they are the apex predators in all their habitats. So what this means is they are the top of the food chain. If you take them out, habitats would go downhill and ecosystems would cease to thrive as they would currently. Now, our mission behind Croctoberfest and why we keep crocodilians, of course, is to educate and to help these animals be better off in the wild, because most crocodilian species are threatened or endangered, and being the top of their respective ecosystems, if they were to go extinct, it would mean a lot of our ecosystems would go extinct. Now, Rob Carmichael, who sends his apologies that he could not be here himself, he is the curator and is on the board of the IUCN Crocodile Specialist Group and the AZA Crocodile Advisory Group. And currently, we have one staff member who has completed the crocodile biology and management course at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm, and we are hoping to send more down there in the coming years to make sure all of our top staff is properly trained in crocodile biology and husbandry techniques. Now, We at the Wildlife Discovery Center, we work closely with a number of different crocodile conservation organizations and projects, one of those being the Siamese Crocodile Project, but we are also part of the Philippine Crocodile Project and the Indian Gharial Project. And a couple of our current projects includes training our crocodiles as well. And we do have one of our American alligators. His name is Casanova. He is a 25-year-old rescued American alligator who was actually rescued from North Chicago. And he was in a very, very depleted state when he came to us, and now he's flourishing under our care. And he has taken to his training very well, along with our Siamese crocodiles, who have also taken to their training extremely well. I would like to show you part of our alligator training project. So this is Casanova. He is our American alligator. He is about 6 feet long right now. Rob, he is calling Casanova up and having him actually touch a target to his nose. And this conditions Casanova to not only come to his name, but can also target trains him. That way, whenever we do go in to feed him, he touches the target instead of coming after us. These animals, they are very readily able to be trained, and they do have a level of intelligence about the same as a dog. Now, as I said earlier, we do have a critically endangered pair of Siamese crocodiles. Siamese crocodiles, as I said, there are only about 200 individuals left in the wild. And the WDC is actually part of a program to where our crocodiles, when they get old enough, they will breed, and we will actually be sending the babies back to Cambodia to their natural habitat to be released into the wild. So we are one of the few nature centers and zoos in the country that are actually part of this project. And we are very, very lucky to have our crocodiles. And as of last year, we finished our Siamese crocodile exhibit, where our two crocodiles, Quan and Orang, are featured. Now, we would like to thank, of course, Canals Auto Park for their support of this event. We'd like to thank the Crocodile Specialist Group that we are part of and the Junior Crocodile Specialist Group. I'd like to thank all of our supporters, and I would like to thank all of you for listening to this presentation. And I did bring flyers in case any of you are interested. They are on the back table. And again, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? What, the date of the fest is when?
It is October 25th. So it's that Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zach, how many people do you usually get to this? Did you get to it last year?
We got 800 guests last year, and we're hoping to exceed that number.
Impressive.
Thank you.
They like to be on leashes.
It's like at our Crocs at the golf course event that we do in June. We have gators on the green, and Casanova, he is featured on the green on his harness and his leash. They tolerate it, but they would much rather be able to wriggle their way around.
Do they really like to be held and petted?
It's like he tolerates it. It's like these are wild animals. It's like they do not make good pets. And even though he looks cute and cuddly right now, he does have lots of little sharp teeth.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, a golf course presentation by Rick.
Nobody said I'd be following crocodiles. That would be definitely a harder one to follow. Well, thank you, Chairman Colmeyer, Director Swarthout, members of the board. Take an opportunity to thank you for having us up here to discuss where we're at year to date for the fiscal year and then for the golf season for Deer Path Golf Course. So far, we've had an absolutely wonderful season. It's been a great season for golf. A little bit of weather in June, as those of you who have a little bit longer memory can remember, we had about 16 rain events in June. Other than that, fairly ideal weather throughout the year, so that has helped tremendously. We're going to give you a little highline view of how the golf course is doing, give you some comparison numbers to national and regional, as well as local, see where we're at performing against those areas, as well as where we're at versus our budget in last year, all the normal comparisons everybody would like to speak about. And we can say in big terms that we have outperformed the market at Deer Path in terms of rounds of revenue. We have outperformed the nation in rounds and revenue as well. And we're on pace to finish the fiscal year ahead of budget in all the categories of rounds and revenue and in what we term EBITDA, earnings before profit, interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, which is kind of the end result, your bottom line number. So it's a little early to project the entire year since we go through April 30th. But all things being equal, we're projecting exceeding all of those. So if we summarize 2015 in the calendar year and the first 4 months of the fiscal year as a year of growth, increased rounds, increased revenue, increased involvement. Generally, rounds are up overall. We've got them broken down into different segments. The two best performing segments that we have are what we call daily fee, regular cash paying customers. That has increased, as well as event or tournament outside events that come in and have the golf course as a fundraiser in most cases. Both of those areas have increased this year in terms of rounds played. We've also increased the calendar year revenue and thinking in terms of the golf season. You will hear me bounce back and forth, and I've had discussions with many of you about the golf season, and then we'll have different discussions about the fiscal year. Obviously, both are very important. The golf year tends to come in terms of weather in the calendar year, and then the fiscal year follows the city's policy of May through April. So we'll reference both so we can kind of keep track of where we're at versus the calendar year, so we can compare the golf season to national averages, et cetera, as well as the fiscal year to see how we're performing against the city's budget. Instruction participation, which has been a huge success once again this year, is up 16% at current state. We've added new programs. Particularly this fall, we added a larger after-school program and sold it out in a matter of weeks, if not days, to its maximum capacity. If you haven't been by the golf course in the past 3 weeks, I'd invite you to come by and look down the hallways in the entranceway. I was just showing them to Mike Williams from Kemper Sports, the new junior golf program that we've developed with Richard Franklin. It really is a tremendous program, and it is holistic in terms of taking the junior golf participants from the beginning day, the first day they touch a club, all the way through an active tournament player if that's the route they choose. It really is quantifiable. It is data-driven. They move from level 1 to level 2 in 9 different categories based on how they perform. And it's very laid out so you can see how yourself or your child, if you're a parent, how they move through the course and move through the program to achieving one level after another. So that quantification has really helped excite the kids without it being an outright competition. It has been a tremendous success, and we're seeing both revenue, rounds, and then participation growth in those areas. We've also seen participation growth in club-driven events. This is a first year for a localized Kemper Sports program we called the Kemper Cup Chicago. It took Kemper-managed facilities and had players in competing against one another from each of those facilities. And everybody participated in 5 separate matches, and then whoever had the best records moved on in a tournament style. And we got nothing but positive feedback from those on all the matches that our group played in. And we traveled to 3 other courses in the area, and then those 3 courses came and played Deer Path as well. So some great exposure for our facility, and just a tremendous opportunity for our players to play some of the fantastic Kemper facilities in the Chicago area as well. We have an upcoming member and Ryder Cup style event versus Lake Bluff. Those are both coming up in October, and we're hoping to see the same participation increase that we saw in our club championship this year. Clump Championship produced about 30% more people participating this year than in past years, with a little bit of a format change, so that was accepted very well. We're happy to expand on that next year and hopefully can grow that a little bit more. So that was a good indicator of a participation growth for us. If you want to break down through the numbers a little bit, this again is calendar year. You'll see that notated on and off where we're doing calendar versus fiscal. If you look at our rounds this year versus last year, you can see about a 4% increase. That's tacked with about 10.5% increase in revenue. And then if you like to break down into metrics, you can see the rough estimate, which is just revenues per round, your total revenue divided by your total number of rounds, increased in that area as well. I mentioned comparisons to other marketplaces and nationally. You see the 4% increase in Deer Path and the 10% increase in revenue. Nationally, according to the figures that just came out from Golf Data Tech and the PGA Performance Track, national rounds across the country were up 0.4% and revenues were up 2.8%. So you see where we compare against national averages, and we are very favorable. And if you break it down to just Chicago and Illinois in terms of rounds played, the state of Illinois rounds were down year to date 0.2%, so relatively flat, just a tick down. And then Chicago area rounds were down 0.5%. So you can see in the area of rounds, we've not only outperformed the nation, but the Chicago and Illinois markets as well. The big picture number, which rolls through through April of next year, the fiscal year, the city's fiscal year, this is forecasting where we're at currently through the end of August, and then projecting that out through the remainder of the fiscal year. So our results, as we forecast them right now with 4 months complete, with August being unaudited, 4 months complete will show us being ahead in those areas, achieving versus budget. You'll see the EBITDA number is right on for budget versus, this year versus budget, and revenue up versus budget and up versus last year. Those are tremendous results. It's something that we're happy to report, something that we'd like to continue to see going through a nice long fall, if you believe the weatherman. We can continue to play golf well into November and then start up again in early April, if not late March, to continue on those positive notes. The last thing I wanted to bring up was just some customer feedback. This is feedback we received either via email or during surveys that we've had sent out. Some positive feedback on there, both directed to the staff and to the golf course. We're very happy with the way the golf course is coming through, the changes that we're putting on it as far as the treatment to the turf itself. Those of you who do play there know that we had a little bit of a delay in recovery from our core aerating process that we did in May. There was some low temperatures that continued to stunt the growth at that time, so we didn't get the fill in that you need back on the greens, and we had some conditions that were less than wonderful in the June timeframe, the May timeframe, and then the heavy rains in June kind of washed out a lot of play as well. But once we got those healed, we've got a lot of positive comments on the turf itself. That was our plan of attack going into the facility this year as far as the grounds were concerned, was we're going to treat the grounds, the playing conditions, the turf itself, the actual playing turf, as the number one priority. And then once we get that to the conditions where we think it's going to thrive and excel and move forward, which we expect for next year, then we will turn those same attentions to the outlaying areas. We wanted to make sure that we had the most important parts right first, and we've done so with starting with the greens and going backwards with the fairways and the teeing grounds. So some very good positive comments in there. Happy to see some of the staff getting some recognition as well as the golf course. Very pleased with how we've come through the first 4 months of the fiscal year, both in terms of revenue production and of rounds, and the overall big picture of it just being a more active place. Very happy with the growth of the junior programs. We're exploring some options for newer programs now that we've got this holistic approach and trying to continue to keep these kids engaged in golf throughout the entire year versus just in the summertime. After-school programs are a big part of that, so we'll continue those in the spring. We'll continue those in the winter in some way, shape, or form, where we can keep these kids engaged in golf and bring them right back to the golf course just as soon as it's open. So I'm happy to field any questions. If you have any specific that you'd like to ask about either financial results or anything you've seen at the golf course or heard, I'm happy to address those.
Okay, I have one quick question. I see, it looks like the revenue is up pretty good, but EBITDA is kind of flat. That means you reinvested, your expenses were higher than you thought, or?
There is two different areas. If you break them down into the largest buckets, there's the payroll bucket and then there's the operating expense budget. The payroll has been controlled under budget. The operating expense has been higher than we budgeted for. A big portion of that, as a matter of fact, 90% of that variance falls in just a few categories. Chemicals, fertilizer, landscape, sand, supplies, fuel, basically things for the golf course. We did have some unexpected expenses and some repairs, but we've only gone through 4 months of the year, so we still have budgeted areas left. For example, we might have exceeded the 3-month budget for R&M equipment, but for the yearly budget, we still have some room in there. Some of the equipment has taken some more repairs than we expected. We had a large, take chemicals for example, we had a large backstock of chemicals that we thought we'd be able to utilize. When we started utilizing them at the beginning of the year, the efficacy of the product was nowhere near useful. If you have chemicals or seed or any of these kind of things around for a specific amount of time, they still can work, but not nearly as good. For example, broadleaf control, we sprayed for broadleaf control, didn't get nearly the coverage that we wanted, didn't get nearly the control we wanted. Part of that had to do with the equipment. The sprayer, as you know, in the capital plan has been replaced and we're waiting for its delivery. That was part of the issue. And then the chemicals that we had didn't retain some of their usefulness, so that was another one as well. So you're exactly right, there are some operating expenses, overages. Payroll year to date is controlled. I believe the number is close to 6% under budget. So that shows some good management by my staff as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to the course's sustainability related to the chemicals? There are kids playing there and, chemicals do have carcinogens. So can you speak a little bit about what the plan is long-term to look at more sustainable approaches?
Absolutely, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we're just about, if Chuck and Sally haven't received the letter yet, they're receiving a letter from our CEO notating our golf course achieving level 1 in our company's environmental program, which is called Green to a T. It shows a dedication to the beginning process of everything from sustainability to recycling, et cetera. And there are multiple levels of this. And as we go through our budgeting process for the future years, those will be presentations we make to the city saying, if we want to achieve level 2 of our program, here are the things we need to look at. And it may be chemical changes, it may be application changes, it may be equipment changes, it may be actual property changes where we have more no-mow areas, we have more natural areas and less areas that need that kind of care. So you have less chemical application, you have less manpower. But those are all things obviously that we need to address with the city of Lake Forest so that they're behind what we're doing and understand what the long-term prognosis is.
It sounds like the kids program has been really successful, and that's great, because I think for us to have a sustainability program for people to use the golf course, we need to have the kids obviously be involved. Have you looked at any school outreach programs or anything over the winter? You mentioned that. I mean, I know the elementary schools in the community are really open to having those types of extracurricular type activities come in. Have you looked at that at all?
We are looking at a couple of different, we're narrowed in on one particular facility, trying to make sure that we can get the specifics right. The difficulty with golf on an indoor basis is just the volume that it takes. You can do a lot of movement-based thing and other types of training that you could do in a gymnasium. You could work with golf-like products with the plastic balls, et cetera. But the largest portion of success we've had are the kids who are already playing and the kids who are wanting to be tournament players. So for the beginning kids, that golf-like type program is excellent, and you can do those in those type of facilities. For the kids who make up the bulk of our program, we do need the actual hittable space, and there's only a handful of indoor dome type facilities, and one of which we're speaking to right now to try to work on what is available, what time frame it is, how we would make that program work. But you're 100% right. We've got such great success that the next logical step is how do we keep these kids engaged for the entire season and either not lose them to another sport, not lose them to another facility, keep them involved in golf at Deer Path. And that is very much on our radar in the short term.
Rick, just wanted to say congratulations to your staff, Mike, team, everyone from Kemper, being the first year fully engaged in the course and all that. I think the course is in the best condition it's ever been in. And that's a testament to you guys. I mean, it was a lot of challenges out on the course the last several years, and taking it over for the first year, you guys done a great job. I think it's playability is the key, and I think because it was so well maintained this year that's why people were coming back and playing. So
Well, thank you.
looking forward to the next few years, and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. We're very excited about the upcoming fall and the different preparations you make to the turf itself, about getting ready for the winter. And then, of course, winter is the time that you go through and you do some other type maintenance issues if you have shrubs in natural areas and tree limb, pruning of tree limbs that need to be done, all those kind of things that we need to focus on to just tweak that playability up a little bit more next year, make it just a little bit nicer environment. Hopefully we can get the one or two areas that are still struggling from the winter kill from last year to recover this fall. Those are really the only spots that we've kept an eye on. Other than that, the greens were much more consistent. Interesting enough, one of the side notes is to probably get too far in the agricultural weeds. We found in measuring the soil consistently throughout the year, there was such a high level of latent nitrogen. There's basically already fertilizer in the ground. So we were putting out these different applications, and then we would measure, and there's so much in there already that we expect when we get to spring of next year, now that we've done this core aeration and some deep tine aerations, we poked all these holes far down the ground, we can release all that nitrogen back up and really get some significant depth of root systems so that we can see a much healthier turf regardless of what kind of conditions. We had very good growing conditions this year. If we had a stressful summer like we did 3 years ago, we would have lost a lot of turf this year because of the shallow root system. We're hoping with all this latent fertilizer, latent nitrogen that we found in the soil, with the program changes that we've made in the core aeration and multiple deep tine aeration, can release all that and get it to where we're going to have a real nice, lush playing surface next year. So we're actually very excited to put the course to bed for the winter and see how it comes out next spring.
What's the plan, Rick? I know we've chatted briefly about it with some of the major changes that have to take place. Is that going to be presented to us or to Sally? Or
It is in the process. It's in, and I can let Sally speak to from there a little bit. It's in a vetting process right now of finding out what a master plan might entail and what kind of a scope it would have and what the cost would be, so that it can be presented to the board.
Correct. It would come to you, be fully vetted by the board before it moved on to city council. But we are in the process of seeking out a master plan.
Other questions or comments? Thanks, Rick. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Rick.
it.
Sally?
Here we go. All right. Good evening, everyone. I bring you the Northcroft Master Plan that is in conjunction with the Grove campus. There we go. I want to give you a quick timeline of this project. In 2014, the Property and Public Land Committee directed the staff to undertake a comprehensive master plan for Northcroft Park and Grove campus. In June of 2014, the staff met to discuss the challenges, and then in October of 2014, a visioning session took place with the stakeholders. In November of 2014, the staff compiled the data and began to work on the comprehensive master plan. And then in July of 2015, Property and Public Land Committee approved the Grove campus portion of the plan. In August of 2015, I brought this plan to you at a committee of the whole, and we chose to bring it back, give it another month to take a look at it, decide if we had any changes to be made, and then bring it back for discussion again tonight. The stakeholders that took part in this process was the City Council and the Property and Public Land Committee, the Lake Forest Parks and Recreation Park Board, Historic Preservation Committee and Foundation, the Plan Commission and the Senior Resource Commission, soccer associations, Lake Forest and AYSO, the Business Accelerator and the Music Institute of Chicago, which is located out on the Grove campus, Lake Forest Open Lands Association, Heller Nature Center, which is located to the south of the property, as well as the Lake Forest Friends Group. The board's role and responsibilities consisted of 2 members participating in the visioning session to review and discuss the plan, make changes or suggestions for changes, and then approve the plan and participate at the time of the implementation, which will take place over several years. The current uses going on at Northcroft are walking trails, grid fields, baseball diamonds, our camp program space, adventure camp, and in the future, possibly the relocation of one of our nature camps because their facility will be under construction. A playground, tennis courts, and the pavilion. As you can see, this is an overview of the Grove campus and Northcroft and how they come together. One is our fields of Northcroft Park, and 2 is the pavilion. You can see the tennis courts here and the playground. Out here is the Public Works and Parks storage and staging area. And you can see this very nice trail that comes all the way through that connects Northcroft to the Grove campus. It's a great walking trail. I enlarged this picture so that you could have a better feel for Northcroft itself. You can see that the baseball diamond is out here. And then we have grid fields that are lined out in this area as well as in this area for predominantly soccer. The pavilion itself has a fireplace, ceiling fans in the winter. It has walls put on it, and it is the only pavilion that we rent year-round. This current master plan recommends that Northcroft Park should remain the active piece of the 2 properties. They would like to keep Grove passive. Outdoor environmental education opportunities should be developed and utilized. Cross-country ski trails could be developed and maintained, which would also connect us over into the Heller Nature Center, which has wonderful trails. It would be a great set of acreage for that exercise. The addition of grid fields. There was a suggestion to restore the skating rink. And the addition of paddle tennis courts and bocce ball courts to the park. Further recommendations included expanding the parking to the northeast of the park along the train tracks and to expand the public works storage and staging area to the tracks as well for such things as equipment storage, snow storage. Currently, all that equipment has to be trailered in from the municipal service building out on 800 Field Drive. And if we could expand some of that storage area out there, certainly in the warmer months, we could stage equipment so it would be actually closer to Waveland and the east side of the community. So following discussion, suggestions for changes, I am requesting the approval of the Northcroft portion of the Grove Campus Master Plan and the recommendation to move the plan on to City Council.
Sally, just a quick question on
Sure.
The master plan. What we're approving is just the plan and there's no action being done to the facility.
Correct.
It's just a,
This is the plan that will be put into place, and when we find the funds to make changes to the property, we can refer to this plan to guide us in those changes.
and to go to city council, that's just approving the plan again, not
Correct, it's just approving the plan.
isolating any of the,
It is not, right now, I don't know where this falls in the priority, but we do need to have the master plan, so should funds become available, so that if they did, we could act upon it. If we did get those funds, no action would be taken until it was brought forward and vetted by the Park and Recreation Board.
great.
Other questions or comments? Sandra, you participated in the visioning session,
I did.
and this is consistent with what you people discussed?
It is, yes.
I think we actually delayed it because we wanted one of the visioning participants to attend before we approved. I believe that was the intention from the last meeting. So now that you're here, I don't know if there's any additional questions we want to ask visioning participant.
Well, I mean, I was looking for more of an update because the board obviously, since you've been on it, has transitioned in the visioning group, and we just haven't had any update on what's going on. I know.
It was almost a year ago
Right.
already.
It was a year ago.
So I'm sure things can change. But this is basically the scope of the conversation that evening.
There was a change. There was a proposed road through Northcroft Park to the Grove campus, and upon evaluation, that piece was actually removed.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the Northcroft Park portion of the campus master plan and recommend to move the plan to city council, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the Northcroft Park portion of the Grove campus and recommend to move it to city council.
Thank you.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Sally, I think you're on again.
I am, but I have to go to the other side of the room. It is my pleasure to give you an update on our upcoming activities for September and October. I'd like to invite you all to join us at the Recreation Center gym from September 17th to the 20th, where we are hosting the Lake Forest Library book sale. There are wonderful treasures inside that gym, and hours range basically from 9 to 5 on Thursday, 9 to 8 on Saturday, on Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday and Sunday, Sunday being their half-price day. And again, there are amazing treasures within those walls. The Wildlife Discovery Center and Rob Carmichael are hosting a beach campout at Forest Park Beach on September 26th and 27th. I believe there is still room for registration. That event begins at 5 p.m. and ends at 8 a.m. in the morning. Throughout the evening, there's the opportunity to stargaze, watch a movie. I believe they even go metal detecting and have a fire, dinner, s'mores, all those great campout experiences on the lovely lakefront. October 12th is the dodgeball tournament for boys and girls in grades 1 through 8. It runs from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there are definitely availability for teams to register. If you register before October 1st, you'll receive a tournament t-shirt. And new this year, they are accepting free agents and will form free agent teams in each of the tournament divisions. So if you don't have a team and you want to come in and register as a single, we'll find you an experience. On October 18th, the Lake Forest Dance Academy will be offering their Company Cares dance workshop in the gym at the Recreation Center. It's from 11 to 4. It is the first of their compassion fundraising projects that they do throughout the year to benefit a charity to be determined by the girls at a later date. So if you get a chance to stop in and see that, it's a lot of fun. They do some great movement going on in that gym. If you do stop in and be ready to dance because they'll invite you. And then October 30th, we have our Halloween Tricks or Treats at the Recreation Center from 5 to 7 p.m. This is a free event for preschoolers through 3rd grade, and it's a lot of fun. The staff has got some great events and activities planned for the community, so please come and join us at the Rec Center. I would like to give you also a staffing update. We are in the process of interviewing to fill several vacant positions. And it is my hope that at the November board meeting, I will be able to introduce you to the newest staff as we hope to bring them on within the next month and a half. And that is my director's report.
Thank you, Sally.
questions?
Any comments or questions that any of the board members want to make? Sally, you've gotten a response. Are we on for this next meeting on Tuesday, what's October 8th?
October 6th, and
6th.
again, I really appreciate the very quick response from all of you, and yes, we will be meeting, a special board meeting on October 6th at the Municipal Services Building at 6:30 PM.
Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, may I have a motion to adjourn, please? Second? All those in favor? Aye. Take care. Thank you.